Forgive and forget has always been a phrase that a very popular phrase out there in the world, and it keeps repeating itself over and over again. But today, I just wanted to come here and talk about it. Like, what does it really mean to forgive and forget? How do you really forgive and forget? Is it possible to actually forget what someone has done or what has been done to you? Or is it even possible to forgive? How do you really forgive? And in this episode, I would love to share my thought about it and just say what I think. And also because this topic got here came to my mind because on Sunday I went to church, and funny enough, during the Sunday school session, the time for questioning and answer, um, somebody raised this very special question. Like, it was a question. The question was out of the topic. It was out of what was being discussed in the Sunday school, and but the question was interesting. So it was open, like it was like an open question to people, and everyone, a lot of people shared their thoughts. And in that quest, like in that moment, I figured out like we all have different ways of seeing this talk, and we all have different ways we reason about this phrase, this very popular phrase. And is it more like a cliche, like is it more like a phrase, like to make rhymes, like the forgive and forget? I mean, is it because of the F word that these two words were used together, or was it really, or rather, let me talk in the present, or is it really, really something that can be done? Is it forgiving and forgetting? Is it something that you can do all together simultaneously, or just I'll just have I just want to share my thought. I want to, you know, say what I think about it, and tell you that I have another way I see or I think about it, and maybe we're going to have the opportunity to talk more go in depth in seeing if it's possible to forgive and forget, and how it can be done. If it can be done, it of course we know it's easier said than done. And anyways, we'll get back to the session. I just wanted to do this brief intro, and then see you in the next page. Hello there, and welcome back. I want to welcome you, all of you, my amazing podcast friends, and this amazing podcast community, to yet another episode, amazing episode, special episode on the on one of the best podcast channels out there, on Each by jboi. And I'm your host. And today I also want to take a minute to welcome all of you that are listening to us for the very first time. If this is your first time of joining this podcast, I give you a very warm and special welcome. I extend warm hugs to you wherever you're listening to us from, and especially in these very strict moments, in this very pandemic era, in this time when everywhere is shaking and filled with question marks. So today, like we mentioned in the intro, in the previous session, we will be, or I will be talking about what I think about the phrase forgive and forget. And like I had mentioned, this topic was given birth, just got raised from, like, what I'm trying to say is this topic, this subject was raised from my day in church yesterday, being Sunday. And I'm sorry that this this episode is being released on another day different from Monday, like I had programmed to always have a new episode every Monday, but I was supposed to make another episode earlier, but I was supposed to publish another episode, but for some technical issues, I had to change that and do something different. And I chose to talk about this. And I welcome you once again to this episode. Just a minute. Excuse me. So, as we were talking about forgive and forget, and I was saying, what does it really mean? What does it mean to actually forgive and forget about something? Someone does something bad to you, and actually, I am not an expert. I am not a teacher. I am not a professor. I am not a scholar in anything. And this is just a young man in his late 20s I believe to have lived to a time. What am I trying to say? My apologies, that came out the wrong way. But as natural as possible as I can be, I believe to have lived to a point like you're just listening to the voice of a young man who has lived a life filled with different experiences, and I believe to have lived the life of an average 40-year-old man. And so I believe to have a lot of experiences. I've seen a lot of things, just as many of you must have seen. So you're not listening to no professor, you're just listening to somebody who has in some way seen a lot of things and lived different experiences, and believed to have come across a lot of stories to be able to tell and share stories with you. And so let's continue on this talk about forgive and forget. So you've probably heard that phrase a million times, and just like I've said it on this episode, I believe to have mentioned it up to 20 times already, if not more. And honestly, it's pretty safe to say it's easier said than done. Like when you hear forgive and forget, it's easier said than done, of course. And to forgive, okay, does it really mean does it mean you no longer have any built up resentment towards somebody who hurts you? Or does it mean you just go on with your life without even thinking about what happened again? That's forgiving and forgetting. It can be difficult to do, but understanding what it really means, is just like every other thing. Anything, if you don't understand the thing, like you're so many steps away from getting it done. But when you're understanding it, the steps it's one of the steps to accomplishing forgiving, and moving on. That's what I'm trying to say. When that time when you feel that somebody has done you wrong, that has broken your heart, has betrayed you, and some people, this planet Earth, like humanity, we humans, there are people that has done extremely bad things to some people, that there are some things you hear the story and it seems utterly something that is unforgivable, and it can be very, very tricky to forgive that person and forget. But I think it is something that can be done. It is actually really something that can be done. I'm not saying to be an expert in it. I don't know how to, I grow every day, just like many of us. We're growing both in age, both in stature, or maybe even in mental health. Like in our health, in our brain, we're growing every day. We're learning new things. We're getting better. We are moving somewhere. And many people will also tell you the same thing. That is something that can be done. You can forgive people. You can really forgive. What I don't, excuse me, I don't know. I had too much water before this episode, before recording this this episode, and so I have I continue to belch. But that is not the point. That is not what we're talking about. And I was saying it's very hard, yes, but it's possible all the same. It's very possible to forgive. It's very possible to forgive people for whatever wrong they have done to you. What I would say beforehand, before going into more details, is the part where I believe that it's overemphasized, the forgetting part. I don't think we can forget. Well, I don't think just I just don't think that we can forget what anyone does to us. Like we're not some computer with some hard drive or some memory that you just click a button and you just delete a file. The art of forgiving and forgetting, I mean, the forgetting part, is not that you just don't remember what the person does. I mean, if you're not having some some kind of mental health issues, or if you're not having some some kind of problem with remembering things, I don't think there's any problem. I don't think there's anything like forgetting what somebody has done to you. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but the point is what they're trying to say in forgiving and forget. The word forgetting is more like, when you remember that stuff, because you will remember, you just don't forget, you just don't get deleted, you just don't feel that resentment. And for me, I think the phrase, on the other hand, shouldn't have been forgive and forget. I think it should have been forgiving and letting go. When you forgive and you let it go, the next time you're remembering it, you don't feel so worked up. You don't feel that fresh burn you felt the first time it happened. You know how that feels, like that feeling of hate, of anger and resentment. You just don't get that the same way you had it, because with time these things heal. In most cases, like we know, it may be easier to forgive than to forget. Although, I mean, there's none of them that is easy. I mean, forgiving is not easy. It's not easy to forgive. I mean, to forgive and forget means you finally made peace with the offense, that occurred. That thing that happened, you've made peace with it. You let it go and you're moving forward, And the good thing about it, one of the good ways of also to be able to forgive, is to, once we understand that as humans, we have that human nature, human condition that knows that accept that all human beings, that we all possess positive and negative qualities. There are people that have negative qualities that would do wrong to other people. We just have to know that, these are things that get us surprised. Sometimes that sense of being surprised that somebody does something, of course, because based on the trust we had for that person, based on how the relationship we built with that person, and you'd never expect somebody to do such a thing. But we're all human beings, and people do have shortcomings. That's why they have this. That's why the English word invented these words. Like shortcomings are, someone might come short from doing something, do something wrong, make a mistake, and just go wrong sometimes. Doesn't mean that person is the devil. Doesn't mean that person is that person is the worst kind of human being on earth, except in some cases. but going on the topic, I don't want this to be some kind of sad episode. I want us to talk about this as easy as possible, like make it light. I would have loved to have a conversation with it, but since it came up like this, and I had short time, I just but I welcome you guys to leave your comments, to write me on emails, on Instagram page, on YouTube, leave your comment or anything, and I would love to have a conversation about this sometime. We can always talk about this anytime, is really, really interesting, and it's very broad. This is a topic, this is a subject that is very broad, and I'm just saying what I think about it firsthand here. I'm just talking about it in the best fun way I can. Okay, excuse me. Okay, to truly be able to forgive someone, it's also helpful to understand the difference between forgiving and forgetting, and how each of them can benefit us. The forgiving aspect, it means that you want to forgive, that it's not just because you want to forgive alone. You just want to understand that we are all human beings and we are imperfect. Okay, everyone has that moment that they get selfish, maybe they want to vindicate something, or feel not nice, wicked, or cruel, but that is about the aspect of forgiving. But then when you talk about the forgetting aspect, it is a totally emotional thing. It's a totally emotional thing. It's an entirely different story, because the truth is that offense is never truly forgotten. Like, there is the emotional pain, there's the physical consequences, there's the maybe sometimes the wrong that is done to us could be economic. Those kind of things doesn't just go wiped away, but we can give ourselves that freedom. It's for us. Most of these things, especially this forgiving and forget, sometimes we look at it. The funny part, like the amazing part, is sometimes we look at it that we feel like we're doing the other person a favor, forgiving them. We feel like we're doing the other person a favor, forgetting about it. But the reverse is the case, actually. It's more for us. It's more for us. It's more for ourselves. Because, like, when you continually have that offense in you, that continuous bitterness, when you see that person walk by, or when you think about that person, and you might be having such a wonderful day, and all of a sudden in your office or whatever, this person's name crosses your mind, or for some reason you just think about that person, and you just have a change of heart. You just have a different feeling. You just feel bad. Your whole mood get twisted. And it is not, now that person is not there, the person is not there at that moment, and you're just feeling so mad, you're just feeling so angry, and so wasting your day, like getting offended and feeling bad, and spoiling the whole good moment you were having. So this is why it's also important to understand that we're doing ourselves a favor, not the other person, because bearing this grudge in you're I don't know if you're seeing what I'm saying. Like, me talking about it now is like it's giving me a mirror to look at, and I'm like, okay, so I am here and this person is not here, and I'm feeling this anger for what this person has done, and it's messing my whole day up. That is why we have to think about it for our own good. Sometimes, I mean, most times, we should understand that it is for our own good. It's for our own state of mind. It's for our own serenity. Because by choosing not to dwell on whatever or whoever it is we are trying to forgive and forget, we allow ourselves to truly move past it more easily. And just like I mentioned on that Sunday, I mentioned that we're having that Sunday school, and I had to say something. And when I was allowed to say something for a minute, I said, I moved directly to talking about what I heard one time, long time ago, that I feel has been helping me to deal with grudges and anger and offenses. And it's something I heard someone say. Somebody said that and that feeling angry and like having grudge against somebody and not forgiving somebody, it's like you taking a poison, like you drinking poison and expecting that person to die. Like you're the one that drank the poison. That person is just out there walking away, walking freely, and you're expecting the person to die out of your anger, and the poison is inside of your own body. That person did not take that poison. So that is something that has been some kind of way been able to help me to deal with offenses and grudges. Like I have to be free in my own mind. I have to be good. I have to feel good. I have to feel fine. Now forgetting is the part that for me is a bit like I don't forget. I don't forget what happens, but I just let it go. That is why I feel like and please, if you're listening to this and you feel like there's a better way to forget about things, like you just completely forget it, like tack and it's gone. I would really love to have that special lotion, special portion of whatever you drink, and it's just snap and it's gone, something like that. I really know how to let it go. I can do that, but forgetting it is another question. I mean, I let it go in the sense that that pain, I forget the pain. I do forget the pain, and I don't feel bad. I think about it more like a memory, just remember it, and it's one time this person did something like that, and then I stay careful, especially when someone does something unexpected to you. You don't you don't go. Sometimes there are cases you give somebody a second chance, of course, but then there are cases you don't want to repeat itself. You don't want that stuff to repeat itself. So it's better you don't create a scenario, you don't create an environment to be in that place again, and give that person a chance, that same person, to be a chance to still do the same thing, betray you twice. I mean, you know what I mean. So one thing is, while you may prefer to withhold your forgiveness and not and not forget that offense, whether it's because you're still hurting, or you're over it but don't care of to make amends. There's people like that they're over it but they don't want to make amends with that person. I mean, that means you haven't forgiven the person. uh, but it can actually do you more harm than good, like for you to hold anger and resentment, because the other person because your resentment doesn't hurt the other person. It hurts us. We are the one that it hurts. So forgiving people is a gift to ourselves. It's not for them. It's a way to let go of negative emotions and feelings, and because you're letting go, you're allowing yourself just go to let that thing go. We don't have to be imprisoned by pain and anger of what has been done to us. The same thing applies to forgetting. Forgetting means we no longer torture ourselves by replaying the negative events of our lives. We don't have to. But if you can't seem to find it in yourself to forgive and forget someone who has done you wrong, but that is fine, that is totally okay. There's no pressure. I'm not making this episode to tell you, hey, you have to let go and forgive, or else. No, I have no power over you, first off. And then this is just like it's a monologue, and I'm just talking, I'm just expressing myself. And then there's no pressure. There's no one that's supposed to tell you like that. Like, it's supposed to be an advice and not an obligation, of course. You're not obliged to do anything. Take your time. There's no pressure. Everything requires steps. Maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe you're still fresh. Give yourself time to heal. Just like the physical wound, you cut yourself with a knife. It needs time to heal. To give it the medications is required. Get it treated, and with time it's going to heal. The same thing when you're hurt emotionally, it requires time. Don't be in a hurry, okay? Give yourself time. Things change. You will move forward regardless. Whether you forgive immediately or not, you're going to move forward. As each day passes, things change. You face a new normal. It may take some time. You may be You may become too cautious and you might be too gentle, maybe gentle with yourself. Just try to be gentle to yourself and not to more to the other people, about situation, not to the situation. Sometimes things happen and we treat that thing with so much carefulness and gentleness, and we don't treat ourselves. We blame ourselves. We feel horrible with ourselves. We should treat ourselves with more gentleness. Understand that we have weaknesses. We are humans, and we should try not to obsess over the details. It's very important because sometimes I listen to people. People I listen to sometimes talking, telling me maybe one or two stories, or maybe I'm telling them something, and you see them like I'm the one telling the story, and you still listen to them, and you hear them go into two different details. Like they go into details of what this person was thinking, he was thinking about what he was thinking, and they try to point out things. We have to be careful how we process details, Let's not try to obsess over details. And you should also think of the positives that come from moving on, okay? We should always think about that. There is a lot of positivity because tomorrow is always a gift. Tomorrow, something new is always going to happen. Whatever has happened in the past, think about the positivity. Think of the positives. There are a lot of positives that come from moving on, There are. Just believe me. I can tell you for sure there have been times I've had, why would I even mention myself? Think about your life. Yeah, you that is listening to my voice now, think about your life, and you would remember there are times you had cases, like you had things happen to you that you felt so horrible. You felt that, oh my God, like you don't know, you don't have an idea how you're going to get over that feeling. And then think about today and remember that feeling then and see how things changed when you moved on, how you've moved on from that and you've gotten to where you are now. That is the same thing. Whatever happens tomorrow, no matter how horrible it seems, try to think about the positivity of moving on, how positive it is to move forward. When you begin to think about, anytime you begin to think about the positivities, the positive, when you think about the personal benefits that you derive from forgiving and forgetting, the phrase takes a much more powerful meaning. If you're able to begin to see the personal benefit, not think about the personal, your own benefit, not for the other person. You're not doing that person a favor. That is when that phrase will have more meaning. And like I said, I think the phrase should be more forgiving and moving on than forgiving and forgetting. And with this, I sign out, and I want to say thank you to all of you for hanging on this far and listening to this young man's talk, and being you're amazing. I don't know what else to say. You're just amazing. I just want to say I'm grateful and thank you for hanging on this far and joining us in this episode. And I believe that you're going to love the next episode that's coming. So stay tuned, and please feel free to leave your reviews on Apple Podcasts and any other platform that you're listening from Spotify. Please, you can follow us on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram. The name is still the same. Just search for Each by jboi. You're going to find the logo of our podcast, and with that, you can just leave us comments, rate us, follow us, favorite our podcast on anchor.fm, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us. And we just started our YouTube channel, and we want to get it as far as we can and get our voice to people so that people can listen and many of us can learn. Like I can get comments that will make me learn from you guys, and you can teach me stuff. I just want us to create a community. I believe that there's going to be a strong community in this podcast, that we can share things with ourselves and help one another and grow, and whatever, those things, that whatever it is of beauty and love that happens in the very great community, that's what I hope would be able to acquire and gain here. Thank you so much for joining us, and this is still your each channel by your host jboi, and with this I say thank you and I sign out. Thank you, bye bye, see you on the next episode, bye bye.